straight away I can see that the backlight on the LG Superior, that one looks really washed out compared to the LG.
Tonight at 10, Lucy Letby will never be released from prison as the judge imposes multiple
Got them
sentences.
both at completely different pictures really.
It means that
Bought
Letby
a
has
new
been handed
control
down
for
the
that one.
harshest sentence ever imposed since the death penalty was abolished. She refused to attend court. The judge addressed her in her absence.
Loving parents have been robbed of their cherished children, and others have to live with the physical and mental consequences of your actions. Siblings have been deprived of brothers and sisters. You have caused deep psychological trauma.
Tonight we'll hear at length from the judge and the parents whose babies were attacked on what has been an extraordinary day in court. Also on the programme, Mason Greenwood and Manchester United agree he won't play for the club again after charges against him, including attempted rape, were dropped.
That one's got better sound now.
Accused of killing hundreds of people trying to cross from Yemen looking for work. Charles's charitable foundation.
I think that one's a better picture.
Police say they'll take no further action. Spain's victorious World Cup winners return
That one's better sound.
in Madrid for their homecoming parade.
Not enough water in the east, not enough water for new businesses. The companies in Suffolk told to find their own supplies. And another Bedfordshire council demands the immediate resignation of their MP.
Interesting test scene, both side by side. And I've still got that one as well. That's a nice telly show.
Will never be released from prison after the judge at Manchester Crown Court jailed her for life for each of the murders of 7 babies and the attempted murder of 6 more at the Countess of Chester Hospital over a period of just over 12 months. The 33-year-old former nurse refused to appear in court today, testing the mother to describe it as a final act of wickedness from the The courtroom today was at the scene of deep grief and trauma. The families of the victims gave harrowing statements, telling the horror and pain of losing their babies, some dying in their parents' arms. Our correspondent Judith Morris has been in a
Control's not working now.
She'll never be free again. She'll never be free again. So depraved, so wicked.
Much better speakers on that one.
Today,
I think that's really narrow. You have to be like that.
Was laid bare.
Parent after parent told of the impact of Letby's brutality. One clutched its
go
toy
to the
rabbit,
picture
another
settings.
wore a pendant with her
If it'll
baby's
work.
hand and footprints on it, which she said made her feel conflicted because the nurse had taken them. And as they spoke, you could hear the sound of weeping around the courtroom, including from the jury.
They spoke about seeing their babies suffer and that they'd live with the trauma forever. The mother of baby C said, knowing his murderer was watching us was
I'll
like
put it
something
on
out
him.
of a horror story.
The father of baby O described his son's skin colour changing rapidly. He said it wasn't normal to the naked eye, it was horrific to see and something he'd never forget. He said his son was quickly christened, and moments later he was gone.
The mother of baby I said, I don't think we'll ever get over the fact that our daughter was tortured till she had no fight left in her.
We heard harrowing detail about the effect the baby's deaths have had on their parents' mental health. Some have had breakdowns, others have needed medication or turned to alcohol. 2 said they'd considered suicide.
They spoke about their loss.
That's a menu.
The mother of baby D said, we had to organise her funeral.
I
The
turn the
service took
brightness
place
down
the
a
day
bit.
before her due date. Baby G has been left severely disabled as a result of Letby's attacks. Her father said she'll never have a sleepover with a best friend or go to high school, never have her first kiss, have a boyfriend or get married. In her absence, Lucy Letby was sentenced to 14 whole life tariffs.
This was a cruel, calculated and cynical campaign of child murder involving the smallest and most vulnerable of children. There was a deep malevolence bordering on sadism in your actions. You have no remorse. There are no mitigating factors. In their totality, the offences of murder and attempted murder were of exceptionally high seriousness.
That one looks
and
more
just
yellow
punishment, according to law,
now.
requires a whole life.
I mean, they're completely different
The
pictures.
mother of twin babies, E and F, said that the trial had felt like a platform for Letby to relive her crimes, but that failing to show her face today had been one final act of wickedness from a coward.
Interesting test.
The family's statements will be sent to Letby. The mother of babies A and B said, "You thought it was your right to play God with our children's lives. We heard about memories being forever tarnished." Baby P's mother said, "I hate the fact that Lucy Letby was the last person to hold him. She's destroyed our lives." Having refused to come up from the cells for the hearing, Letby was driven away from court, leaving grief, distress and fury in her wake. Judith Moritz, BBC News, Manchester.
The severity of the sentence handed down to Letby makes it the harshest since the abolition of the death penalty. Her refusal to appear in court was condemned by the Prime Minister.
Which one do you think's the best picture?
Changing the law to force convicts to attend their sentencing. Here's our home editor, Mark Easton.
I'm going to keep these for now. They're nice tellies. And I'm going to keep that one too.
Such disrespect for their feelings has led to public outrage and a political response. Both the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition saying something must be done.
I think it's cowardly that people who commit such horrendous crimes do not face
That one looks whiter.
victims and hear firsthand the impact that their crimes have had on them and their families and loved ones.
I think that we should change the law. We've made an open offer to the government. If they come forward with a proposal to change the law, we will support it. I think they just really now need to get on with it.
There have been calls before and promises made after the gunman who killed 9-year-old Olivia Pratt-Corbell in Liverpool refused to hear her family's statements in court last April. A parliamentary petition was set up demanding action.
To actually go through a court case and not have that chance of actually eye to eye with the offender.
Judges already have the power to require an offender
That
to
is
enter the dock,
superior
and
on the
prison staff can
LG.
use reasonable force to bring them from the cells. But what a judge cannot do is tell custody officers to use whatever force is necessary. There are physical and legal risks with that. And dragging a recalcitrant offender into the dock, kicking and screaming, could mean the focus of the courtroom falls on the villain, not on the victims. That's what happened when the killers of
I
Lee
sold
Ridley
the Alba
sentenced,
one
the
in the
opposite of
end.
what campaigners say
But
they
I'm going
want.
to keep that.
Some argue that judges
That one's
should
definitely better
increase
than the
a prisoner's
Alba one I
punishment
had.
if they don't come up from the cells. But of course, Lucy Letby's sentence cannot be increased. The judge gave her 14 whole life orders, one for each of the 7 babies she killed and another 7 for the attempted murders. Now, a whole life order is the single most severe punishment in English criminal law. And today, a judge has handed down the harshest sentence since the abolition of the death penalty. While many would agree that villains should be forced to hear the voice of victims, attempts to achieve that may have unintended consequences for courts and for victims. Mark Easton, BBC News.
Let's go back to Judith Moritz in Manchester now. So Judith, a traumatic day in court for everybody there, but this shocking story doesn't end with the sentencing of Letby.
No, it doesn't. The government says that its independent inquiry will examine the wider circumstances surrounding Letby's offending at the Countess of Chester Hospital and how she was able to operate there in plain sight for at least a year. Now, they will have to examine the way executives dealt with her, dealt with doctors' concerns.